everyone, it's Anthony back with another video here on Single and Placing. Hi, hello. As you can see, today we are here doing a kitten chat or a kitting up video. Oh my goodness. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day, week, weekend, evening, morning, whatever it is for you. I'm actually still kind of recovering from my cold. I recovered essentially and felt really good. And then, let me get a drink of water. I shouldn't say really good, but I was feeling better. But just like the phlegmy, mucusy grossness, that's probably TMI so early on in a video, but it's just taking a while to get it cleared out. And to be honest, if I think back, this is kind of how I've responded to colds in the past, is that recovery and just like the hacking up of stuff and just having that kind of, that congestion has always been pretty persistent with me. I just haven't been sick in so long that it's just like, why is this happening? So I do apologize if I do make some slight coughing here and there, especially since I'm pretty long-winded and have kind of a long sentence string. When I expel all that breath, then I'm, usually inhaling, and it's causing a little bit of a cough. So, but I feel, as far as energy goes, everything goes, I feel pretty good, or I feel good. It's just this cough, man, or just that congestion. And every morning I wake up and blow my nose, and it is not pretty. The past like 3 days, I'm like, ugh. So it's coming out. It's just slow going. So anyway, we are kidding up. I'm sure you could tell from here, me fussing with the sticker sheet, Moon Thief by Ivy Dollamore. So this is a round drill canvas, 56 by 79 centimeter with 44 colors. And it looks like 4 ABs. So I've got my container set here, my stickers here, my funnel, my marker, I've got my scissors. I already picked out, I used this, I forget which canvas I used this on, maybe it was Astrid. It's the black glittery Scotch Expressions washi tape. I had it left over from that kit, so I'm gonna see how much more I can get out of it, and then I may have to kill this bug that snuck in here. I may have to switch to a different washi tape, but yeah, there's that there. And then just in case we have any incidents with drills, I always like to have a tray on hand. I've got my Mooney Made custom tray with some with some Nomadic Q clay or Ruby Q cover minders. I don't really use cover minders on my canvases, so I've just been using them to keep me company, and these were the Halloween ones I picked out, and I just literally just snapped them onto the lid. So I have those with me just in case I need a tray, but I shouldn't if everything goes well. I've got my sticker sheet sitting here, so I know which colors are what, and then of course here are our drills. So there's those. Just as a disclaimer, I usually say this at the top of any kitten chat. If I kind of run out of things to say, or maybe in today's case, I'm just kind of winded from talking so much, then I'll go ahead and do kind of a time lapse to speed this up a little bit. Actually, I'm gonna need those first. To speed this up a little bit, and then when I come back, we'll kind of talk about, we'll just kind of do a wrap up. So I've got 3 ABs here, and I should have 4. So we need to find our straggler. Oh, still in the bag. It's always good to double check. So there's those. So we'll probably get started there. But yeah, I hope everyone's having a fantastic week. Let's see here. 117. If you are kind of following along with my videos and kind of have a rough idea of what whips I have going and what's been kitted up and stuff, you may be thinking, are you kitting up another kit? Yes, I am. So I had intended on participating in, oh no, now of course I'm gonna blank on the event name now that that's the whole reason we're here. So hold on, let me pull up the exact name, 1 second. Okay, sorry, I also adjusted the the lighting and the angle because I knocked into it. But okay, so hashtag Ghouls, Goblins, and Witches event. We also got a Mucinex cough drop / sore throat drop. So hopefully that helps, but you might hear the sound of that rattling around. So yeah, I'm kitting up for that event about, now we're what, 14 days late or 13 days late. It started on September 1st. But it was one of the events that I was interested in participating in alongside, let's see, this is number 1, alongside Festival of Witches and Drills and Chills. It was going to be my 3rd one that I was going to participate in. I know there's 1 or 2 others that are going on right now that I'll have to look up before I officially put a drill on this canvas, just in case I want to sign up for those too late. But there was so many that for like Halloween and fall, and it started to get a little bit much. So I was like, okay, I'm just gonna pick the ones that, like the first few that I had heard of. There's a 4th one that I was originally interested in participating in, but it doesn't start until October 1st. So I would have had to hold off on kitting this one up until then. And then there was just a whole bunch of weird circumstances that I ended up bailing on the one that starts in October. The main reason, or one of the things that happened, was with the Ghouls, Goblins, and Witches event from Derrick With Diamonds, originally, and I still think this might be the case, that event was only for round drill canvases, is what was my understanding from the announcement video. But I think that may have changed because I saw people entering in some squares, but by that time I had already posted my initial video for Cauldron of Myrrh, which is a square from Diamond Art Club and Ivy Dollamore, just the same as the Moon Thief. So I was like, okay, well, I won't enter into Derrick's event until I have the storage space to kit up around, because I had already done a square. So I was like, I'm just gonna wait until whenever that is. Hopefully it's by the end of October, because his event runs for 2 months. Hopefully it's by the end of October, that way I can still participate. And because by that time I had already kitted up Cauldron of Myrrh, thinking that I could use that on all 3 events, because it's witchy themed. I didn't realize that there was like a stipulation with square versus round on one of those events. So that kind of threw a wrench in things. Now that I look at some of the start photos from some people, it looks like some folks are using square for that event. So I don't know what happened there. Maybe the rules changed, or maybe I just misunderstood, which is totally fine, because I was planning on starting Moon Thief if I was to finish Cauldron of Myrrh, or when I could, if it was still within the event timeline. So that puts us to today, and I had Cauldron of Myrrh kitted up in a 120 container set. So these that you see here. I just got to the point in that kit where I'm down to just 60. I can't tell if that's peeling up or if it's an optical illusion. I'm just down to the 60. So now it can fit in my last remaining single 60-piece set. That's the only one that I had empty. So I put Cauldron of Myrrh in that one. I consolidated it down, which opened up my last 120. So I don't have any more storage after this. So it opened that up, and I was like, you know what? I really do want to participate in Derrick's event as quickly as possible, and I'm not sure what happened there with like the has to be square, has to be round, but I have the opportunity now to kit up a round kit and start working on it alongside Cauldron of Myrrh, even though this puts me at a lot of whips, and we'll talk about what I have going on. I was like, I'm gonna do it. I want to support him and his channel, and he's been so kind to me, very welcoming to me when I first kind of joined his lives. I kind of stumbled upon his channel, and just started binge watching all of his lives on a hike with Apollo. I like literally watched like a vast majority of his videos, or at least some of the like lives or within chats, like within a single weekend, because I just like would put them on and just walk like for the day. So sorry for all the wrinkly. I'm just trying to identify our next color, which is 209. It looks like it's a purple. Here it is. Okay, cool. So yeah, and then I discovered his channel, and then started binge watching all weekend, and then Sunday afternoon was like, I was out taking Apollo for his evening walk, and I caught the most, like the active live, like it was happening in real time, and I was like, oh, hey, I was just binge listening to your videos, and now I'm like here, you know. And he was like, oh, cool, this is actually the, you know, grand finale for my Pride event. And I knew he was running a Pride event because a couple people had mentioned it. I just was so deep into Summer with the Masters that I didn't have, at the time, I didn't think I had bandwidth to do those two events because they were completely different subject matters, at least from the canvas I picked. So I could only pick one. This is 5 and this is gonna be red. Let's see if we have, I'm trying to use up the ones that have like the least amount of the colors. That way I don't have a stack of partially used sticker sets. So I caught his live. He was very welcoming, and he's like, oh, I've seen a couple of your videos, and it's good to see more males in the community, you know, that whole thing. And then just very welcoming, and everybody that was on his live was super nice. It wasn't a ton of people at that point. I forget how big it got to on that live, but that was one of his finales for his Pride event. So he was giving away kind of like the major prizes of the event. And it was just random number picker, whoever got closest. And you didn't have to be like, you know, you didn't have to complete a canvas for the event. You just needed to be participating in the live, which I thought was really cool. This is 210, which is 6. So lo and behold, I won like the grand prize. I think there was a couple, but one of the like grand prizes, and it was like a kit. Let's see, we're doing 6 in green. A Diamond Art Club kit, some wax or putty, some diamond painting trays. I think there was even a diamond painting pen, like the whole shebang. I was like, oh my gosh. And at first I was like, are you sure that you want to give this to me? Like, I literally just stumbled upon your channel after, I mean, granted, I've been watching it for the past like almost 72 hours, you know, but I was very honored and, you know, thankful, but also a little like, oh, I mean, I wouldn't blame you if you were like, hey, I wanted to give this to somebody that's kind of been with me all along. But no, he was very kind. He just responded to a comment today. I think that's coming in the mail soon enough. So as soon as it does, then I'll be doing an unboxing and just kind of like a shout out or a thank you. 310 or something. Okay, cool. Just want to make sure. There's a lot of 310 in this kit. I have a feeling we're going to be using a lot of containers to get that in there. I mean, the majority of this background is black in one form or another, so I have a feeling that we're going to be working with a lot of it. I think this whole like crescent shape's going to be a lot of color blocking, so one container is not going to cut it. Let's do all of these to start and then see where we get. Okay, so that is kind of how I discovered his channel and then kind of got involved really quickly. And so I've tried to make pretty much every live since then. There's been a few weeks that I've missed it, and there's been a few weeks where he doesn't do them like every single week. He works full time, and you know, all that stuff that we all struggle with scheduling and those types of things. So I'm gonna put this here, move these up, this here, Don't know why I'm doing this so strangely, but I am. But I've been trying to keep up with how things are going, and then I got that announcement of the Ghouls, Goblins, and Witches event. So, of course, I wanted to participate. It was just like I said, once I realized that I might have to like have 2 kits going at once to satisfy the events, I was like, oh, now I'm in a position where I have to pick again, you know. Like I mentioned, I was able to consolidate 1 kit, so now I have room to kit this up, and as soon as I'm done kitting it up tonight, then I'll put my start photo up and go to town. And I'm kind of excited. I'm kind of excited because it is nice to have a good mix of, like, at least for me, I think I'd like to, when I'm doing my whips, and I'm like picking which kits I'm gonna do for them, ideally I'd like to rotate between, or to have 1 round and 1 square going at all times, because squares definitely are a little bit slower to work with. I'm a tedious placer, I feel. So I feel like a lot of time I'm spending a lot more time on my square canvases because there's just a little bit more fussing that needs to happen with them, at least for me. So yeah, it's been interesting having that square. So I guess, you know, as far as life updates, I want to get into the diamond painting of it all, but I typically try to do like, here's what's going on with me, and then wrap up with like diamond painting plans and stuff. So I guess we can do that. I just don't have a lot of updates from getting back from vacation. So my last whip was earlier this week. I believe I filmed that over the weekend. Yeah. So it's only been like 4 days since I filmed that, 4 or 5 days. So not a ton of new stuff going on. Work's been just fine. What else has been going on? Oh, we had plans to go camping with, or I had plans to go camping with my mom this weekend. But I realized after like setting those plans with her, agreeing to go with her, that I have a concert going on this weekend, and my buddies had already been planning a camping trip that following day, and I was expected to go. So who knows, maybe I will do like a little hike and chat or something on or around that trip, maybe on the way home or on the way there, to do a little hike and chat. But I was kind of bummed, but I called my mom and I was like, oh, bad news. So I had prior commitments. I got too excited, and she's like, that's okay. She kind of wanted to do kind of a one-on-one trip because my younger brother is going to be going as well. And she kind of wanted to do a one-on-one trip, or that's what she was originally planning. I think I got invited just because it kind of came up in conversation, and I'm an avid camper and stuff. So I was like, yeah, sure, let's do it. Like, I got super excited, but I think she just kind of wants to do a one-on-one trip. I don't know if I've mentioned family stuff, like what my family breakdown is. Maybe I did in a previous kitten chat or whip and chat. If I did, I'm sorry for repeating myself, but for those of you that are new, which a lot of you are, thank you so much for subscribing and all that good stuff. But I guess I can give you a quick family rundown. I tried to give a professional rundown of like career progression and that kind of stuff, and like different jobs that I've had, and just kind of like life path and that type of thing. I definitely have done at least a little bit of that, but when it comes to family stuff, so I'm the eldest of 3. And put this one, let's do that here. Eldest of 3, there is a lot of static in these bags today. I turned 36 back in June. So yeah, and I'm the eldest. I have a middle brother, so there's 3 boys. Middle brother, he is 10 years younger than me. And then my youngest brother is 16 years younger than me. So yeah, he just finished his first year of college, and he's going into his second year, or he just started his second year, I should say. And then obviously my middle brother's been out of school for a while, as have I. So yeah, that's kind of the family dynamic. My mom and my dad split up when I was very, very young, less than 2, I believe. And then my mom was a single mom for a number of years. And then, let's see, I'm just making sure that we're not making too much of a mess. And then remarried when I was about 11 years old, and her and that stepdad, who is the father of my middle brother, they were together for, I'm gonna say about 5 years, 6 years, there and about, for 5 years. And then they ended up splitting up, and then she got together with who I call my current stepdad. They were never married, and they were, common law at a certain point, but they've been, off again for a while. But I don't know, it's complicated. And that's who my youngest brother, that's his father. So that's who I call, like, if people are to ask, that's who I call my dad, even though he wasn't officially my stepdad, right? Because they did not get married, but they've been, on again, off again for various bouts of time since I was about 14 or so, all the way till fairly recently. So that's kind of the breakdown there. And yeah, that's kind of the setup with my family. Oh, why was I talking about that? Oh, because of camping, right? So they're gonna go camping. She just wants to have kind of some one-on-one time with him. He's been in a relationship for pretty much all of high school and now into college, but things are getting a little rocky, and so he's just been struggling with that because it's been his first and only, relationship that he's ever had, and I think this is the only time things have been like rough, and I'm not sure if it's school related, because from what I understand, she's going to school either at the same campus or another campus there in the city that they live in. So I don't think it's like a distance thing. I'm not too sure what the circumstances are. And it's kind of weird too, because it's like, I'm 16 years your senior. It feels weird. Like, I don't know. I feel like if I was to have serious conversations, or when I've had serious conversations with him, I'm almost coming as like I feel more uncle than brother, than older brother, because we're just like generationally different, and like we just have different perspectives on things. However, I don't know what it is, but I feel a lot more, I'm able to relate to him significantly more than my middle brother, who I'm only 10 years apart from. I honestly don't know what it is. I'm sorry, now I have some stuff to do, because when I first started this video, I was like, I don't know, I still feel kind of poopy, like my voice is all messed up still, and I was like, I just don't know, but I want to film this kitting up, because eventually I'm going to get to whipping chats with all of these kits that I have going, and half of them people might be like, I didn't even know you had opened that, and here you are several sections in. So it's like, I need to give some kind of update. I can't just be cracking open these kits and then being like, la la la, this is what I'm working on. I feel generational, personality wise, a lot more connected, or I can relate a lot more to my youngest brother than my middle brother. I don't know what that is. I know that, I don't know if it comes from an entitlement standpoint is usually what I tie it to, because that's the easiest description of how I feel about his dynamic with my parents and me and my brother as compared to the rest of us. Because since my mom was a single mom for good stints there, and even when she was with, my middle brother's dad, and then who I call my father, or dad, they were you know, when she was single, working 2-3 jobs. When she was with someone who, you know, she had that extra financial support, you know, it was still sometimes 2 jobs, you know, because we needed the income. So since I was 10, when my, you know, middle brother was born, and then 16, like, of course you're the built-in babysitter, you know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. At least that, you know, that was the dynamic in our household. I need yellow. Do I have some? Yes, but I need a lot more than that. Oh no, I'm gonna have to crack open a new sheet. Okay, so 7, 7. So I was, you know, responsible for prepping meals when we got home from school, making sure, you know, even younger, like getting home from school, and then my mom would be working like a swing shift or something, so she'd be caring for the babies, you know, depending on their age, you know, which one we're talking about. And I'd get home and she'd start her shift, you know, at like, you know, doing like a 3 to 11 or something like that. And so oftentimes I was left with, you know, a newborn or something like that after I got off school. So still having to do your schoolwork and all that stuff while caring for a child and doing the diapers thing and feeding. And then as we got older, you know, doing the homework stuff and getting things prepped for the next day and getting kids in bed because, you know, mom or my stepdad. Hold on just a second. Let me take a drink. One moment. Okay, sorry about that. Oh my goodness. Got another cough drop. So, yeah, even, you know, when there were the stepdads, plural, in the house, sometimes they were also working second or third shift, or 1, 2, 3, or even if they did have your traditional 9 to 5 or that type of thing, which the man that I call my, you know, stepdad or dad now, he did work in tech, so he did have a 9 to 5. So it was just only a couple of hours overlap before, like, I would get home with the boys on the bus, and so there'd only be a few hours between not having a parent there, you know, because my mom would have left for work at 2 or something like that, or 3, and then he didn't get home till like 5 or 6. So it wasn't like all day, all night by any means, but, you know, sometimes it's get home from school, or sometimes it was like get home from school, and take over for grandma, who was watching the, you know, the baby for an hour or 2 or that morning while mom was gone. You know, it was just like this weird dynamic, but we got through it. But all of that's to say that, for whatever reason, my middle brother, because I kind of cared for him since he was a baby along with my mom and stuff, and then he just never really like moved into that. He never really had the responsibility of having that kind of like care for yourself or care for your others place. I honestly don't know what it was. I think it's because, you know, I watched them and cared for them until he was, you know, about 10 or 11. And I think right around that time is when my mom might have been working or might have been stay at home at that point. When I left the house, they were just in a really good spot. 312, what are we doing? So I don't know, he never really had that like, okay, well, you're going to be taking care of the littlest or something like that. Like are we really looking for 312 when I can't find it? Yes. So he, I guess he just didn't really like get that piece. I don't know what it is. It's hard to like put a finger on exactly, but we just don't see eye to eye. Okay, 1 second. I might have to cut this out. I really am struggling with finding this. Did I label something wrong? So yeah, I just don't really, I struggle with relating to him, and there's a lot of stuff. Maybe someday in the future, I'll have maybe a Patreon or something where I can take a deep dive into like family strife. And also I just don't necessarily want to have that kind of energy on my channel, but if the time and the place presents itself, we can dive into some of that stuff. But he and I just don't see eye to eye. But me and my youngest brother really do have, I mean, I think he feels that I get the feeling that he feels that I'm very quaint. Like, I'm old, you know, in his eyes, I'm old. But we have a similar sense of humor, and we have some similar interests. He is really into artwork. He'd like to move into a career in theater at some point. So we do see eye to eye on a lot of stuff, more than my our middle brother. We're looking for number 8, red 2. Let's see if we have a red one here. But it's almost like kind of at a distance. It feels a little bit more superficial, our connection, just because the age gap is just kind of crazy. Like, my mom's birthday in May, she had it at this theater, and they hired a 80s cover band, and it was really cool. But my youngest brother, my middle brother didn't go. I think he was working. But my youngest brother was there with his girlfriend and their friends. And it just looked like a table of high schoolers. And like, being the brother, I wanted to be like, hang out with them and chat with them. Like, part of me wanted to do that. And then part of me's like, they don't want to sit with you. So I kind of danced with them for like a couple songs, and then I just kind of went off and hung out with my mom. I was like, yeah, I can't play with the kids, unfortunately. And part of me is like, oh my God, I'm so old. Even though I know that's, you know, there's people of all ages that exist. So you might be hearing that and being like, Anthony, you're just and I'm not trying to do an old person voice. My throat. I'm not trying to offend. There's literally like, there is stuff coming up as I'm talking. I can feel some movement in the esophagus, and I'm just like, ugh, gross. But at least I'm loosening it up, right? So there's 317, number 9, and that's gonna be green. Where are you? Sorry, I'm flipping through like 7 or 8 of these sticker sheets because I'm trying to use the ones that have the most used stickers. I mean, I guess at the end of the day, they're all going to get used. I just don't want to have to grab more brand new ones if I can help it. So we have a connection, but sometimes it does feel like he's just kind of like, sure, okay, all right, you know, good joke, you know. So my jokes can be a little bit crass once you get to know me. Me in general can be. But I can tell, like, sometimes I'll say something and I'm just like, oh, whoopsie, you know, like, I don't know. We always give each other a hard time, but I think he's a little bit more, progressive isn't the word. Modern's not the word. It's just, I don't know. Sometimes I just am like, you're taking this too far, or like, I don't know. I have to play to my audience with someone of that age, I guess. And even with my middle brother, maybe even more so, he can be a little bit more easily offended. Not like by the color of a joke, but more of like, 10 is 318. If it's a joke at his expense, and not anything major like that. It's just, you know, we're brothers. We rib each other, like, you know, but you have to be a little bit more careful with him, because he takes things a little bit more literally into heart. So maybe that could be another like major reason why he and I just like don't connect, because that's kind of one of my love languages, is like, you know, giving people a hard time, or like, I don't know, it's always been just like, and I've said it in previous videos, if you can tell when I'm just trying to get to know somebody. Okay, Anthony, 318. getting to know somebody, get a feel for them. It's usually, I'm usually very much still looking for these drills. What the heck? Okay, 318. What is wrong with me today? I'm gonna have to cut like half of this video. 3, 1, 8. You can do this. 3, 1, 8. I'm sure I've looked at it like 6 times. Why is this happening today? There it is. Oh my goodness. Yeah, he's very reactionary, and it could stem from so many like deeper seated things, you know, now that I'm like talking about it, you know, out loud. It could stem from a lot of deeper seated things, and it's absolutely something that I need to just be more respectful of, you know, in retrospect. But in the moment, sometimes it can be a little bit jarring when you don't think that you're saying anything anything out of the ordinary, especially for our family, for someone to react very strongly in opposition. It can be a little bit jarring in the moment. So, okay, so number 11 is 322. Let's see if I can grab this one in a reasonable amount of time. I can do this. 322. 322. There it is. Woo! So, gosh, all of this just to say that I'm not going camping. Do you remember when we were talking about that? So I'm not going camping. I'm gonna do the concert / other camping trip instead. The area is called Saguache, or as I believe how it's pronounced. Originally we were calling it Saguache, but it's a small like municipality. 322, yes. / town in kind of like Southwest Colorado, kind of. But near there is a lot of BLM and open space land. So every year for the past, I think we're on year 3 or year 4. Oh my gosh, I think I talked about this like on maybe my very first Whip-In chat, because maybe I was talking about looking forward to it or something like that. But I definitely have said this very early on. But it's way out kind of in the middle of nowhere. Are these? Yes. Is this? Yes. 4-wheel drive access only, so most of the time I have to park down at like a closer parking lot or a recreation area that is flat. And then one of my buddies who does have an off-road vehicle, they're all guys. I don't know why I was trying to like, okay. One of them will take me and my gear and everything the rest of the way, because I just have a sedan. So for now, we'll see what happens there. But so this is kind of the last weekend I think we could pull it off. It's staying pretty warm during the day, but it's getting cool at night, especially in the mountains, I believe. 334. There's a lot of similar colors in this kit, 334. So this is kind of the last weekend to do it, and it was really the only weekend that everyone could kind of culminate. It's just been a busy summer for everybody, so this is kind of going to be a group of about 10 of us going up this time. But we've gone every year, I think, like I said, 3rd or 4th year, and because, made a mess there, because it's fairly remote and 4-wheel drive access, every time we've gone since we started going, no one's been there, and the proof has been in, like, you know, the first time we found scrap wood right next to the fire that you'd assume someone would use, scrap wood up there, and they even had, the scrap wood was because they're all, most of them are in construction, so the scrap wood was actually like scrap 2x4s. So, you know, they have like printed branding on them, or they're a certain size, and they're like, oh yeah, these are the 2x6s from, remember the whatever house that we did, or the whatever project? So they were able to like recall back to the exact time when they were having that specific style of scrap wood. And you'd assume that if someone had camped there, they'd just take the wood that was sitting next to the fire, or at least start with that. So then the second year, they brought up these giant beams that they were using for a project. 1 second, gonna take a drink here. They brought up these beams, 336, from a project. Solid wood beams, 336. They hauled them all the way up there, and then we used some railroad stakes and made this really kind of rudimentary but really, really sturdy bench. That way we could sit on it around the fire, we could cook on it when it was meal prepping time. It was just kind of like an all-purpose bench. It wasn't as low as like a chair, it was a little bit higher, so you could reasonably cook off of it. We put our cooktops and stuff on there. So we built this, and I mean, you're talking like 8 foot long by, I don't know how tall it was, but like I said, it was kind of not quite waist height, but close. So we built that out there, and they were like, I was like, guys, like, we're building furniture out in the mountains where people are trying to enjoy their space and stuff. And they're like, look, if someone has a problem with it, this is solid. I forget what it is, but it wasn't treated. So it didn't have like pressure treatment or something. It's something you could absolutely burn. People can chop it up and use it as firewood if it's, you know, that big of a no-no or an inconvenience. I was like, okay, I suppose so. Like, there's no way I'm gonna get you out, like get you to not do this. So at least you tried to provide some justification for like leaving a piece of furniture in the mountains, or building one, I should say. Blue, let's see if we have any partial blues. Yes, oh yes, and this is a good one. Okay, 13. So I helped them build it. We built it that night, and it was amazing. Loved it. It was very, very cool. So then we left it up against we pulled it away from the fire. We just put it up against one of the pine trees that's out there, just so it's kind of inconspicuous, quote unquote. I mean, it's a big old bench. Like, if someone was to drive up, they'd see it pretty close up. Okay, 14, 356, it's kind of a brown. Oh my goodness. I'm hoping this passes, and now that I'm thinking about it, I may take a little bit of a break from doing whipping chats and kitten chats, maybe until this clears up. Now that I'm just like, because in my head I'm like, okay, well I gotta make some extra videos because I'm going to be gone over the weekend, and like I'm going to need to, you know, focus on creating content every evening until I go. But if this is, my voice is like literally starting to go. If this is how it's going to be, I don't want to put myself through this all week and then try to go camping. 356, whoopsie. Sorry, I'm just like, I know everyone knows with whipping chats, it's just a lot of thinking out loud, I think. Just like internal monologue is basically what they should call this. Okay, red, 14. So propped it up against the tree just to kind of like put it out of the way, you know? But then I was like, because they of course were freaking out, like, what if no one comes back for another year? And I was like, here's what we'll do. So I took a couple of pieces of like newspaper and a piece of foil, just like some stuff that wasn't going to be like littering, like it'll burn. And I put it underneath the, like the bigger chunks of the ash, like the logs, in the fire. So I just like lifted one up and kind of dug a little hole and put a piece of foil down there, or like folded up a piece of newspaper and put it down there. So like my theory was, if someone does show up, we need 414, which is kind of a blue. If someone does go and camp there and starts a fire, then that stuff will all be gone because it will have burnt up in said fire. 414, there we go. So that was my little trick. And then also the bench. I was like, you know, if someone shows up, they're obviously going to use the bench. And, you know, if they have a second person to move it, then they can move it closer to the actual campsite, you know. So we get back the next summer, and the newspaper was kind of there. I mean, it had been an entire year, but the foil was there. It didn't look any changed at all. You know, it was still sitting underneath that piece, because you'd also think that that piece that I put under would have turned to ash. 15 green, and maybe that's how I should start calling that out, so I'm not like constantly referencing. I can just do 32 red, like we're playing bingo. 51, which looks like another gray. Whew, the grays and the deep blues in this one are a lot. I think I'll like it though. It feels fair, or it seems like I'm gonna, just from first glance, I'm gonna have quite a bit of color blocking to do with this kit, which will be nice to 451, 60, which will be a nice change from, not that Cauldron of Myrrh is like confetti heavy, but it's certainly not all color blocking. And then we'll get to the diamond painting piece shortly. We're actually moving pretty good along here. We're not quite halfway, but we're getting there. We're getting there. So the bench was unmoved as well. So that was kind of like the proof that like we found a spot that nobody else goes to throughout the year. Who knows? Maybe this year things will change, but it really is like you need a pretty legitimate four-wheel drive vehicle. It's not just like an SUV can bop up there. Like they've got to get the trucks, you know? And then even then, once you get to like the top of the four-wheel trail, we essentially just kind of bushwhacked a little bit. I mean, there is kind of a path that's been paved, but once again, over the years of like disuse, it almost just kind of is grown over a little bit, and you really have to look for it. So I think that's why. And there's definitely people that camp in the vicinity. Like there was one night that I heard some people, but off in the distance, like I don't think anyone's even getting close to that spot. So 452, and it's kind of a mobby. Here it is. So yeah, I'm curious to see if this year, so yeah, now we're coming up on, because we got there 1 year, camped, next year got there, made the bench, following year got there, saw the bench. So this is year 4. Yes, that's correct. So yeah, I'm excited. 4 years running to this same spot during the summer. I'm really looking forward to it. 452. So that's going to be kind of my last camping trip of the season. I may do another one, just me and Apollo, because my gear is rated for really cold weather. It's just hard to get up to those camping spots when there's inclement weather, like during the winter, because like I said, I only have a sedan. 17 blue. See how easy that is? Okay. So it's not like I can just like drive through this like snow in the mountains and find like a remote site, you know? And a lot of the times that's all you have available to you, because a lot of the like actual like campsites that are run by the state or federal state parks or federal parks. What are those called? National parks. Oh my gosh. 754. Those close for the season. Like you can't camp there. And then other areas like that BLM land, you can kind of do whatever you want all year, but that's on you to make sure that you have a vehicle that can get out of sticky situations, you know? And I do not. I have a little Hyundai sedan that, yeah, it's just not gonna happen. 754, there it is. I'm hoping soon as in the next like couple years, to get something with all-wheel drive, just because I do spend a lot of time outdoors. But when I got that vehicle, I was thinking about gas prices and mileage as well as comfort, because at the time I was commuting quite frequently. So let's see here, sorry, 18 red, where's my reds? So that's why I went for that, and I just was like, I have friends who'll take me up to the mountains if I need to. It just makes it difficult because now I do cross country, and my friends don't do cross country, at least not actively. 758. That I've only gotten a couple of them to actually go up with me, especially the ones that do downhill, because they're in it for like the thrill and the excitement and the adventure of it. They're not in it for like the exercise like I am. And the scenery, like they're more like, they just like, they do a lot of backcountry skiing and all that stuff, and I'm too scared. Scaredy pants. That's gonna be green, and it's 19. So, but now that I do cross country, I can only really go up to do it on the days where, oh, there's one right here, where we have good weather. So like after a storm, so we have all the snow on the ground, but the roads have cleared. It's pretty much smooth sailing. It's not actively snowing. Those are really the only times that I can get up there safely. 775. Otherwise, just a little too sketchy. I would like to find a couple of spots actually here in the Denver metro area where I can cross country. I think there's a couple of city parks and state parks that if they get enough snow, you can technically go cross country. It might not be the most, well-groomed by any means, but you can technically do it. So I'd like to find some spots like that, because it's not like I can just bop up any day I want. I have to plan for the perfect weather scenarios, which means I only get to go like a few times a season. So 20 yellow, let's see. No, I don't have any more yellow. This always happens. Right when I think I'm gonna get rid of a sticker sheet, I have to go into the new ones and grab a new one. Let's see, 20. It's a lot more even with bigger kits that have lesser colors, because then I'm using like a whole bunch of red. I'm not using like one of each, because there's always one that I have a little bit less of, and then it just throws everything off. 21, 779. Is that right? Oh, okay. So yeah, that's kind of the breakdown of the camping trip. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's gonna be this weekend, just for Friday night, Saturday night. Well, there is a cohort that wants to leave the concert early, or leave after the concert and go up, which would mean we wouldn't get up there pretty late. But there's a group of people that will just go straight up, so we just have to find our way around in the dark, which we did do either last year or the year before. So it's not like it's impossible, but that would just be a super long, arduous day. And I kind of don't like the camping days where like you drive up and literally the only thing you're doing is setting up camp and like setting up your tent and going to bed. Like I like to kind of like have a little bit of an evening that first night. Like we did it, we made it, and sometimes it's just like everyone's tired. So I might be an advocate for just the single night, but because it is like our spot and all of that stuff, I don't know. I'm gonna do 2 containers because that was really staticky, and I know if I try to dump this into this, it's gonna be a mess. So I'd rather use the drills so I can consolidate a little bit more effectively without as much mess. And we've got plenty of space here. There wasn't like a ton going on as far as like number of containers. So like, I mean, granted, we're 20 colors in and we've used 30 slots, but that's pretty good. Okay, so 21, and we need that in blue. Here we go, clearing a sheet, baby. 21. So yeah, I think just with timing, I don't know. I'm just gonna go with the flow. I'm gonna go with the flow, stay optimistic, and if we end up having to do a midnight crawl to get up there, at least we'll have that full Saturday to enjoy the sunrise and all that stuff. So silver linings, 803. Here we go. Now we're getting somewhere with these big bags. 803, that's all I've got. Okay. So yeah, kind of final camping trip as far as like the group setting, but who knows? I might try to sneak up this fall as long as it's warm enough. But yeah, I was saying I have all the gear for the cold weather stuff. The car is the problem, and Apollo I highly doubt will have any complaints because he is a hot dog. So I'm kind of curious to see how he'll do. I mean, he was born in February, late February, so he has in his little puppy lifetime experienced snow at least a couple of times, like a good snow last season between February and when I got him in May. So he has experienced some like decent snow, but he was super, super young, and I don't think they let him, like I don't think they went on long walks, you know, or like, let's take the puppies up to the mountains or anything like that. I think he spent his first few months in that backyard, or, you know, fairly close to it. So I don't think he's been out in like snow, like outside snow that's not just in a backyard. Whoopsie, let me put that over here. So I want to see how he'll react, and he does the bunny hop kind of thing when he is trying to dig. He does, like, I know a lot of dogs do this, but I've noticed my buddy's husky does it a ton, and now Apollo does it too, is like when they go to dig for something, they like just launch up on their hind legs, and then just like jam their front legs or front paws into the dirt or snow and like really get like kind of burrow in there. And it's so cute. They're like little foxes. But my buddy's dog loves doing it in big snow piles. Like I would take him hiking, and all you'd have to do is bend over and kind of like wiggle your fingers in the snow or put your hand in the snow and be like, what is it? What is that in there? And he just like runs and just like, just like, no, like dive bombs right into the snow, and he'd jam as much of his body as he could fit in the snow, or like cram into the snow in one go. So his whole head and like down, like to his shoulders would just be in the snow, and you can just hear him in there going, like sniffing around to like get a bunny, or like, I don't know what they're looking for. But Apollo did that a few times the other day with the piles of mulch that we still have sitting out for the areas that we haven't spread the mulch out, which needs to happen soon. But I think there was like a grasshopper, or it could have even been a mouse in there, and he just like like dove in. I was like, he did the thing that they do, you know, because I hadn't seen him do it before. So I'm curious to see if he will act the same way, and let me know if like other dogs are known to do that. But I've only had experience with like huskies doing that, or Apollo's part husky. Okay, so this is 22. Yes, 22, and we need 2 of those. So yeah, I want to see how he does in the winter time. So I will take him for snowshoeing adventures and cross country and stuff. I just have to be careful with my car. So, okay, that puts us at the halfway point. So I want to talk a little bit about the kits that I have going on and why, because I feel like that's usually part of my conversation with all of my whips is like my kits and the events and that type of stuff. And every time I have like a plant, wait, this is more 803. Okay, so we still have a lot to go. Let's see. Let's do this here. Okay, great. So I think when I did my whip in chat, this past whip in chat, I had talked about like, oh, I decided to crack open Where the Fun Never Ends. So that kitting up video's there. And then I was like, okay, I'll have these 4 whips that I'm working on and I'll rotate between, you know, doing a section of each and this and that as far as like, you know, which kits will get rotated in. There's another fly in here. I think it's because they find a way to sneak through that swamp cooler, I believe, because that's just open to the outside. I mean, if they're persistent, they could kind of probably wiggle their way around the filter and stuff. But I have this big LED light on, so I think they're drawn towards that. So anyway, 1 second while I blow my nose. Hold on. Okay, so, yeah, I went to turn that off to go blow my nose, and it was like, you have 10% battery left, and that alert had come up a while ago, so it was on my last leg, so I was like, you know what, this is a perfect chance to regroup, give your voice a rest, charge your phone for a little bit, but I kept working. We're not that much farther. We're only a few colors farther, but these bags, especially those the blues that I just went through, like 939, and the larger bags that have more in them have been really, really staticky. So it took me a while to fuss through those last few colors. I think we're at an okay spot here. Let's see here. 27,948. Where are you? There it is. So yeah, where did we leave? Oh, so we were just about to jump into kind of like what's going on with all these whips. So yeah, I currently have 5 going right. This will be number 5. Basically just filling up all of my storage containers that I currently had available. But now I'm full. I don't have any more that I want to get up. I'm done getting up. But I figured since I have the spot, I might as well use it. And like I said, I did want to participate in the Ghouls, Goblins, and Witches event. 27 green. So I decided to go ahead and get Moon Thief going. 28, 975, what are you? Does that say, okay, I was like, does that say 337? 975, there it is. Sorry. So, the other whips that I have going on. So I have Cauldron of Myrrh for Drills and Chills and Festival of Witches. So that's my square drill canvas. And like I said, the reason why I'm able to even do this, what I'm doing right now, is because I got that, I think right around halfway done, if not more than halfway done, and cleared a container set. 28 yellow. So now I can do this one. So I've got that one going. Then I have the Red Gate of Hongo in Snow, which is my second Summer with the Masters kit that I kind of bailed on because it was just, I've said it so many times, but it just wasn't an ideal situation for the time and I needed a break. 976, there we have. Update on that kit, however, I guess let's get through what else I have going on. So then I have Where the Fun Never Ends. I kitted that up after finishing Yellow Frida, and I gave that to my aunt, so I kitted up, did I finish Yellow Frida? It was around that same time. It was like one of my justifications for having yet another kit. So I kitted that up for a buddy of mine. And so I've done one section on that, but we'll get to what my theory was. 29 is going to be blue. 29, perfect. And then I got in Senorita from Jaded Gem Shop, and I did the unboxing of that, and I hung it up kind of like not in the closet, but sitting outside the closet facing out right next to me here. 30 is going to be 3064. 3064, where are you? Are you this? No. There it is. And so I was forced to look at it, and I just said, you know what? I have the storage space for it, for kitting it up. I want to kit it up so bad. It's so beautiful, and I just want to do it. And I was like, well, you're not going to film the kitting up. And I just, for whatever reason, I wasn't in the mood to do all that. I think I mentioned this in my whip and chat. This is red. I'm just going to use this one. We're getting close to the, I'm not super close to the finish line, but a little bit closer. I was like, I don't feel like doing the whip and or the kit up in chat for whatever reason. I just kind of want to get it done, and I kind of want to just start on it. So I didn't set up the camera. I didn't do all the filming stuff. I just kitted up Senorita. And yes, I did mention this in the whip and chat because it was a good idea, because that kit, just the way it's bagged up in a lot of these style baggies, but they're not like, they don't pack them, Jade or her manufacturer doesn't pack them full all the time. So sometimes you'll get, like, let's say we're working on $37.99, you'll get a bag like this, or you'll get 4 smaller bags to equal that same amount. It'll just be broken up more. And I don't know exactly what the rhyme or reason is there for that, but it just took a lot longer because there was just so many bags. Like, not every single color, but the majority of the colors would have a few full bags and then like 8 or 9 small ones. And then sometimes they weren't in sequential order. So you'd find one and then you'd be working through your kit, or you'd find like 6 bags of the same DMC, and you'd be working through your kit, and then suddenly there's another like little straggler and like another bag, and it's like, no, I have to like go back through and find it and all that stuff. So it wasn't the end of the world by any means. It just wasn't necessarily conducive to like doing a video like this. Like, it was just a lot of fussing with like going back through and moving things around and like just the baggies everywhere. So I'm kind of glad I made that decision not to film it, because I know that I probably would have just been like, all right, sit through a, hour and a half long video that is just a big time lapse, because there's just a lot of extra stuff, so that's kind of how that went. But then I started working on it and I did my first section, but it's very confetti heavy, and so it took me a little while. I really enjoyed it because the drills are like gorgeous and just so like, they just click together perfectly. It's like some of the best drills I've ever used. I thought I heard something hit the canvas. Like, you got to check your arms, you got to check your hair. I think we're okay. Maybe it landed in there. Okay, this is 32 and it's yellow. But so yeah, that kind of leads me to kind of the conclusion of this. So I said in my whip and chat, like, okay, well, I'm gonna rotate through these kits and do a section of this and then a section of that. 33 is 3371. And like not just spend the entire time on one kit, because at the time, I had the 4 going. So I was like, I'll do a section of each, or I'll, try to work in the red gate of Hongo here and there. It's just that kit's a lot. It's a lot of mental, it's taxing. It's a taxing kit. So I was like, I'll get to that one here and there, but I'll do like one of Where the Fun Never Ends, one of Senorita, which is also confetti heavy, and it takes me like twice as long to do those sections. And then 1 or 2 of Cauldron of Myrrh, like keep them all going all at once. And I think I even said in the video, like, I hope this doesn't end up making me feel burnt out on, like, the fact that I'm not making a ton of forward progress on anything. And almost immediately, that's what happened. um, 37.55. Let's see. I did one round of each. So I did one section for, or two sections for Cauldron of Myrrh, and then one of Where the Fun Never Ends, and then one of Senorita, and I even did one of the Red Gate of Hongo and Snow, and it's the section that made me stop working on it back in June, because it was like 8 or 9 different shades of red in one section, very subtle shades, all just confettied out, like, oh my god. But I did it. It took me one whole evening, one whole diamond painting session just to finish that one, and that was pushing it. Like, I stayed up a little bit late just to, like, get it done, you know? So that one is a little bit taxing. So by the time I did one, you know, 2 from Cauldron of Myrrh and 1 of each on the others, you know, you're looking at 5 sections total, all from different kits. It felt like too much. And I was just like, I want to see some bigger progress on Cauldron of Myrrh. That's the one I'm doing, at least right now, for an event. All these other ones are just for fun or for gifts. 35 is 37.56. Okay. So I ended up bailing on that pretty much after that first, like, couple days of rotating through. So I guess that took like 3 days to get through that rotation. And so for the past 2 days, I have just been working on Cauldron of Myrrh, and that was really nice. To see that forward progress, it almost made me appreciate, like, the rendering style and how easy it was to transition through colors, because it's not total color blocking or total confetti. It's like somewhere in between, and I like that pace. So this is going to be 35 green. We're getting there. So yeah, I've just been working on Cauldron of Myrrh the past couple of nights and been able to get through quite a bit of it because I'm like reinvigorated. So I don't know, I'm definitely going to snag Where the Fun Never Ends maybe, you know, because I want to get it done before Christmas. So I do want to work that in between now Moon Thief and Cauldron of Myrrh, but I think I'm going to be able to finish Cauldron of Myrrh here in the next like week and a half or so. 36 is 37.71. Probably right at the 1 month mark, I'd say. If I get it done before the end of the month, great. But I'd say probably around the first month for Drills and Chills and Festival of Witches, I'll be done with my kit for those events. So I can just post my finish and then keep working on Moon Thief. And then ideally have this done in October for Derrick's event. 36 yellow for Derrick's event. And then I'll be good to go. I don't have any other events for the rest of the year. I mean, nothing that I've signed up for or was planning on signing up for. So I think I just want to focus on gift kits. 37 is going to be 37.78. Where are you? 37.78. There you are. So get Where the Fun Never Ends done. I have that Bumblebee kit that I wanted to do for my mom, so who knows, maybe I'll be able to get that done too. That one's, I forget if that's super confetti heavy. It's distracted by diamonds, which usually means there is going to be a decent amount of confetti, but I don't feel like the color palette was super, like, varied. Like, it's not like you're working like with 50 or 60 colors or anything like that. So it might be an easy one to work up. 37. Let's see. But Where the Fun Never Ends does have a fairly decent amount of confetti. There's that, it might not be necessarily confetti, but there's a lot of color shifts there because of all the rainbow patterns and stuff. So you're always kind of like this with your colors. 38 is 37.99. Which I might need. What am I doing? I might need 2 of those. I was kind of thinking I might all fit in one container, and I was like, you mean to tell me I fought to clear a container set to kit this up and I'm probably not going to need it, and now it's clear that I am going to need it. So that's kind of a good thing, because I was like, why did I like, because tonight before I started doing this, I did a little bit of Cauldron of Myrrh, and I was like, just get as much done. Ooh, I only need one container. Get enough done to do your consolidation and then go right into that kitting up. So I was like, come on, pick a color that there's a ton of so I can empty a canister or a container. 38 in red. So it's nice to see that come to fruition and not like feel like, oh, I could have just done it any old time, you know? 39 is 38.24. Okay. So yeah, so it was a breath of fresh air to get back to just working on like just ideally 2 kits. I've just been working on one because I needed a break from the other ones. Even after just one day of rotating, it just was like it's a little bit more like mental gymnastics to like keep track of like, let's see, red 39. Like, okay, like for instance, for Cauldron of Myrrh, I was able to take a step back, and on her necklace, I decided to do a quad cube, and then I put some ABs in her lips and some gunmetal squares on like different pieces. So like I was able to kind of analyze it in real time, or even kind of look ahead at the main image and be like, ooh, I think what I'd like to do is this, and go and grab my specialty drills and set them all out and have that all done, and then have to pack it all up, put it all away, grab the next one, and do the same thing over again. It just was just like, it was a lot to do that 4 times over the course of like a couple days. If you hear what sounds like a nightmare in the background, Apollo is going to town on his bone. So, and he decided to move from the living room to right outside the office. So you're going to get a front row seat to that. But yeah, it was just a lot to like tear up, you know, set up, tear down, set up, tear down. And there was like one night where I did like 2 sections. So in one night, I'm like having to pack up all my containers, pack everything up, hang everything up, grab the next one, set it all up again, grab the right washi, all that stuff. And it was just like, this is a little silly. I'm spending a lot more time setting it up and tearing it down that could be spent diamond painting, you know, and just making some forward progress on like 1 or 2 kits instead of now what would be 5, you know. So that's a little insane. So I think I'm just going to focus on 1 kit. Like I said, I can technically, I think now with my how good I've gotten with speed, and the fact that, you know, now that I'm going to start working from home a few days a week, I can go right from work and let you know, take Apollo out for a walk and get him squared away, and then go to diamond painting, as opposed to incorporating the commute, you know, the 30-40 minute commute depending on traffic. So I'm getting that extra time in, and then yeah, and then I'm just getting a little bit better. Let me grab my next color. 3830. I'm getting a little bit better at placing, even though I'm only up to a 4 placer. I'm a lot more confident when I make that placement, if that makes sense. And so I'm spending a little less time like fussing with my drills or reverting back to a 3 or 2 placer because I'm like getting too nervous that things are getting askew, or even single placing. I'm feeling a little bit more confident of like just like hitting those drills down, especially on the squares, and just keeping things moving. So those color blocking sections, they're going by a lot faster than they used to be for me. And I feel like I'm just getting a little bit more efficient. So, I mean, of course, life events, that type of stuff can impact, but you know, if I'm left to my own devices and just kind of default mode, I'm to the speed now where I can get a canvas like this size done, which is a 56 by 79. Like I can get this done in like 2.5, 3 weeks ish, just depending on other factors. But like right around 3 weeks is probably the sweet spot for this kind of size for me. Sometimes slower, sometimes faster. Of course, confetti, all that stuff plays a role into it. But that's kind of like my pace. So like I can get a kit like this done in a month, you know, give myself a week of flexibility there. I can get a kit like this done in a month. So it's like perfect for events because I'm kind of right in that sweet spot. Rounds will this will probably go faster because it's round. So yeah, I'm feeling pretty confident in like Okay, you've got 5 whips right now. Okay. One of them, the Red Gate of Hongo and Snow, don't even count that because I don't think I'm going to get that done anytime soon. I was looking at it. I have 2 more sections and then I'll be halfway done. And I peeled up the next section after that one that held me up since June. Is this 42? Yes. And it's just as confetti heavy. It's got more of that red, but now there's some blue in it too. And I'm just like, okay, well, see you in 4 months. Like, so that one's kind of out for now. I'm not considering it like in my normal rotation. But Where the Fun Never Ends is kind of like double that size-ish. So that'll take me, what, like, I'd have to, if I start it in, well, it is started, but if I start like working on it in earnest in October, I should be able to get it done by December. And then this ideally get done during the month of October, maybe a little bit into this month. And then the last one would be, let me grab my, this is going to be 42 red. The last one would be Senorita, and that one's huge, and it's very confetti heavy. So it's going to go in that same realm of like, it's going to be the one that I snag when, you know, when I'm up for the challenge or up for that, but I don't think I could just sit and work on that. Maybe. I love that image so much, and it was such a blast working on that first section, seeing it to come to life because of how Jade does her negative rendering. So maybe it could keep me engaged enough, but I like being able to put a podcast or an audiobook, just kind of let my mind just get into that and just color block. I really do like it. I know a lot of people get bored by that pretty quickly, but I can go a long time just color blocking before I'm like, okay, let's switch it up. Like you probably give me like a 20 by 20 canvas of just like, here, it's just all 939. And I'd be like, okay, like, all right, well, give me a good audiobook and I guess I'll get to it, you know? So that's kind of who I am as a diamond painter as far as like my style. Like I don't mind confetti, I'll jump into it, but I start to get like fatigued from it pretty quickly. So I have to mix it up with something like this. So anyway, so Senorita is another one that I love, but I don't, that's not going to be one that I quote unquote crank through. Who knows? I might get to a really interesting piece or get to a certain tipping point where I'm like, let's do this, but I haven't hit that yet. I've just done one section. So that is our last color. I can't shut up. I can't shut up. Even in the face of like, my throat hurts and ow, and I'm coughing and I'm tired and blah, blah, blah. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I could just keep going, honestly. I have a little pile of some stragglers. That's definitely a 310. Let's see, 310, which was 7. Some stragglers on this kit just because of that static. Things just went flying around tonight. Did that one go in there? Okay. I have extras of a lot of these colors. I can already tell from Yellow Frida and the Captain. I've got a decent amount of regular drill rounds sitting around. So I think I'll be okay if for whatever reason I fall short, but that static made a mess. So that's that. That is The Moon Thief by Diamond Art Club and Ivy Dollamore. I'm kind of giddy to be working on 2 Ivy Dollamore kits at once. I'm kind of curious to see how our subjects come to life and the color palettes used, because they are of a similar style too. They're kind of witchy. And I should be able to get this down to a single set, but it doesn't really, fairly quickly, because as you can see, we've only got 3 here, but it doesn't really matter because I don't have anything else to condense it down into. This is everything. So my only option now is to finish a kit. Finish a kit, Anthony. But yeah, I think that's it for me. I'm just gonna tidy up a little bit, and then I'm gonna take some photos of this canvas So I actually might need to just stage that. I'm going to take some pictures of this so I can send that over to Derrick for his event. And then, depending on how saucy I'm feeling, it's not super duper late. It's just general late. Depending on how saucy I'm feeling, I might do a section of this just to kind of kick it off. And so yeah, I think what I'm going to do is swap between this and Cauldron of Myrrh until Cauldron of Myrrh's done. And then I will keep working on this and switch to Where the Fun Never Ends and work on both of those until this is done, and so on and so forth. You see the pattern, just always having a rotation. The only hiccup I could see for myself is wanting to have a square in there, because both Where the Fun Never Ends and Moon Thief are round. So I may want to have a square in my life, and if that's the case, because by that time Cauldron of Myrrh will have been finished, and ideally this will be down to one container, so I'll have it's a lot of math and container counting, but at the end of the day, I should be able to have a 120 set free by the time I finish Cauldron of Myrrh. So that means I can pick a square to get into, and if that's the case, then I'll probably do either Bumblebee for my mom, or I'm assuming it's square. I have a kit for my aunt coming in for her present. Hers is definitely going to be post-Christmas, but hers is some Chuck Pinson Christmassy vibe thing. I think it's square. So I'll have a square back in my life, and so on and so forth, and on we go until my whole stash is finished, right? Because that'll happen. All right, well, I'm going to let you go. I'm going to take a couple photos real quick and maybe work on a section of this, but I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share this content with friends, family members, or anyone that you think might take some value out of it. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. We're inching our way towards 500 subscribers, and I guess as a spoiler for those that listen all the way through, I have some exciting things planned for when I hit that milestone. Nothing crazy, but I do want to really celebrate that and celebrate the people that have found some joy in watching my videos. So yeah, there is going to be something or things tied to that big 500. I may or may not even be cockily, I guess is one way to call it, putting that video together for when that does happen, so it's ready to go, and I don't have to have a delay in that. But yeah, so if that little sneak peek, or that little seed encourages you to, once again, like I said, share with family and friends, or maybe there's other people in the diamond painting community that haven't stopped by yet and you feel emboldened to point them in my direction. It's helpful to me, and I think that'll be a good way to, I guess, thank you all for continuing and starting to do that if you haven't done it already. So it's so weird promoting yourself. But yeah, I think that moving towards those numbers will allow me to, show more kits, and there's all sorts of stuff tied to that. So anyway, all that's to say, thank you again so much for watching. Have an excellent rest of your week. I may be a little bit quiet as I let my voice kind of fully recover. So if you don't see anything until my next unboxing next Tuesday, because those are booked out for months, I already have those scheduled. So if you don't see anything till next Tuesday, my apologies in advance. I think it might be smart to let my voice recover, because I do a lot of talking in my role during the day. So maybe I need to just let that be the thing I burn out on from a voice standpoint, and just take it easy. So my apologies in advance, but don't forget to comment, and you can also find me on Instagram. Links are below. So if you want to, have a chat or still have a way to connect, I'm there and I'm more than happy to, to respond to texts and messages. I try to check my video comments once a day, if not once every other day. So I try to make it a point not to leave people hanging. So feel free to reach out to me in any way that you can here on social media. That way we can continue the conversation. Otherwise, I'll probably see you at some point next week. Thank you so much for watching one last time, and happy placing. Bye, 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 bye.